Visit CCGCastle.com and get 5% discount on your purchase with TCG Center 5 code. Check video description or visit CCG Castle for more. Hello and welcome back to Pokemon TCG Center. Today we'll be looking at a Delphox break, a Volcanion. So basically, Delphox break is 180 HP break from the Delphox, and it have that Flare Witch ability which says that once during your turn you can actually, before you attack, use the ability and search your deck for 1 fire energy and attach to one of your Pokemons in play. And that's pretty much it. So after that, you can hit for tons of damage with your Delphox Psystorm. Basically, it will does 20 damage for 20 damage times the all amount of the energy cards in play, both your and your opponent Pokemons in play. So basically, with the Psystorm, you can one-hit knock out any Pokemon in play. There's like tons of energies from the both sides. And also with this deck I'm running Volcanion because in the early game that power hitter can definitely help a lot to accelerate. Basically by choosing 2 of your banished Pokemons, you can attach to each of them for 1 energy from a discard pile, which is definitely good. But also Steam Artillery for 3 energies for 100 is pretty decent attack, knowing that this is a non-EX attacker. Also with the Fighting Fury Belt you can have 170 HP on the Volcanion, which also can be enough HP to even survive Greninja Moonlight Slash for like 80, which is 160 in total, so definitely good. Of course, I decided to roll with 2 copies of Shaymin, so I can basically set up, and later I can just get rid of them with my Pearl Cities, so I can definitely remove them from play with the Pearl Cities, so my opponent will not be able to take easy 2 or maybe even 4 prize cards in total. As you can see, I'm running 4 copies of Fennekin, 2 copies of Braixen, and 3 to a line of a Delphox and a Delphox break, but that's the reason why I was looking to fit much more cards, so this deck can actually be a little bit more competitive. So for example, I'm running 2 copies of Super Road, which can help me to bring back any energy from my discard pile, so I can use them with my Flare Witch later to recycle them, or maybe even Delphox and Delphox break line with those copies of Super Road. Also took 3 copies of Volcanion. That's the reason why I'm running 3 copies only of Delphox and 2 copies of Delphox break. From other cards, I decided to roll with 1 Escape Rope, which is always a good card. It can definitely help you a lot, especially if you can force your opponent to promote, for example, for example, 1 EX from his bench into the active position. So, for example, you can take up 2 prize knockouts and maybe even less 2 prize knockouts with your Psystorm. And always it's good, even if you're stuck in the active position, for example, with your Shaymin EX, you might be in a problem because this deck does not contain any kind of float stone, so only escape card is a pretty much Escape Rope. Also running 2 copies of Rare Candies, so I can go straight away from my Fennekin onto my Delphox, and then with the Wooly I can go into my Delphox break. So basically turn 2 I can have Delphox break in play. Not going to be able to attack turn 2 with the Delphox break. In theory I might be, but it's definitely very fast, very fast build. On the other side, 2 copies of Super Road, 4 Trainer's Mails, 4 Ultra Balls, and 4 V Seekers as usual. From other cards, like item cards, I'm running also 2 copies of Fighting Fury Belt, and basically from Stadium cards, 1 Pearl City and 2 Scorched Earths, which can help me actually to discard some of my energy cards in order to drop 2 extra cards, which can help my Volcanion basically to use the power hitter. For example, you can also build this deck maybe without maybe for example those Trainer's Mails. You can just go straight away without Trainer's Mails, Delinquents, Hex Maniacs, and in that case you can just add more cards like Acrobikes or maybe Max Elixirs with more energy cards. In that case you can actually have turn 2 Delphox break, you can actually hit for like 180. That can also be made, but it's definitely not that consistent as it should be, so I definitely not like that version because it's not about explosion in a turn 1. It's definitely about being able to take multiple knockouts and control board in the entire game. So from supporter cards, I'm also running 1 copy of Delinquent, which can help me to remove any kind of Stadium from play and also force my opponent to discard 3 cards from his hand. It's always good to have Delinquent, same as the Hex Maniac, can shut down those abilities. 1 Lysander can help to Lysander anything in play. 2 Ents and 2 Ents for drop support, 1 Ranger. So basically I can remove any effects, for example, like from the Glaceon EX, from the Jolteon EX, so that's the reason why I'm running Ranger. 4 Sycamores for the drop support, of course, and 2 Wallies, so I can actually have that pretty explosive start by growing up my Fennekin's into breaks and then later into Delphox and Delphox breaks, and 10 fire energies in total. So as usual, if you're looking for any of these cards, you can find them on CCGCastle.com. If you're looking for any of them, you can also get 5% discount on your purchase by typing TCG Center 5 code, so you should also keep that in mind. So let's do a few games so you can actually see how this deck works in the test. So see you in the game. Alright guys, let's do this. So standard procedure, get the heads start first, but not gonna happen today. On the other side might be some kind of the evolution box. So I'm starting second with my Volcanion in the active, which is not bad. There's also one Fennekin, energy for attachment, of course shaming for the setup, and trainer's mail. So, oh, there's actually Delphox in my hand also. On the other side, it's a Garbodor. Alright, I don't love Garbodor. It's a pretty annoying card, but it is how it is. So, Trainer's Mail will help me to get some extra cards, that is for sure. So there's a Pearl City, and it's locked to me. Okay, which means that I need Scorched Earth first to get rid of my opponent Pearl City in order to play my Shaman. So Ultra Ball for Zero Sick and Lighting Energy. So there's a Jolteon EX. Alright. Not bad. A Max Elixir. I can expect maybe to see Shaman for the setup when there was Ultra Ball, or at least Sycamore or something like that. No, there's just a pass of his turn. So I'm going to play my Trainer's Mail and see what I can find here. I can find Wally, and I can definitely grab Wally right there. Definitely, which means that I can play my Ultra Ball for energy and Delphox. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that probably. Let's see. No, let's just attach energy and Ultra Ball for Super Road and Delphox, and then Shaman for 6. Well, this might not look like a bad idea, but probably I'm going to draw energy cards, so I will just throw out my energy and a Super Road in order to draw another Fennekin and put it onto my bench. I know that I have another Shaman, but I just want to Wally into my Braixen so I can actually have that in play. So next turn I can have actually Delphox, which is pretty good. And all I can do right now is just play Shaman. If I get another Shaman, I'm not going to be able to set up, so I just need to hit energy card, and maybe even Ultra Ball and 2 energies will be good. So there's just a Pearl City, so I cannot play my Pearl City, but at least I can use my Power Heater and attach one of my energies onto my Braixen on the bench, which is not bad at all. So I do have Wally and V-Seeker. That means only one thing, that I can V-Seeker in a Delphox break, and I can take 1 extra energy card. So it's my turn, and I also see on the other side, interesting, I do have Rare Candy even in my hand, which means that I can Rare Candy my Delphox, and then I can just easily V-Seeker for that Wally, and I can Wally into my Delphox break, which means that I can search my deck for a energy card, and that's very important, because that energy can easily be attached to any of my Pokemons in play, and definitely I'm gonna do energy attachment on my Delphox break, which will end me to that another Power Heater just for the 20, and I'm gonna pass my turn with that. So I cannot play my setup. I cannot play my Shaman for the setup. There's a Flowstone for that rubbish, which means that his Jolteon is going to hit that Flash Ray for 70, which means that I cannot attack with my Volcanion. I mean, I can, but the damage will not be effective. There's another Delphox, and that's very nice top deck, which means that I'm going to Flare Witch for another energy attachment onto my Delphox break. And basically, yeah, as you can see, you can Power Heater, but nothing will happen. But at least, if you have some energies in play in your discard pile, you probably will be able to attach them. So this can actually only prevent the damage done. All damage. So Delphox break will be put into the active position. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6 energies in total, and when I play my Flare Witch, this is going to be 7 energies in total. and that means that I'm short for 20 damage right here. But the good thing is that I can pretty much play my Super Road to discard some of the cards from my hand in order to play my Shaman for that setup of extra 4 cards. Also can play that Ranger, but I don't want to do that. It does not make any sense. There is another Delphox break, which will help me to basically put another energy in play. And this means only one thing, that my opponent Jolteon, it's gonna be a knock it out, and basically I can try to help him a little bit playing that N, so this game can actually at least a little bit longer, because it's my friend on the other side. So I'm gonna hit with even energy attachment, and right now I can hit with that Psy Storm, which is gonna be very powerful attack for like 180 damage, which is enough to knock out that Jolteon, to drop 2 prizes, basically to try to find that stadium, so I can basically discard my opponent Pearl City and try to find my Pearl City, so I can just get rid of my Shamans because they're easy to prize targets. And on the other side it's a Glacian EX, but luckily I do have that Lysander sitting in my hand, and I can just try to knock him out on my next turn. But to be able to knock out that Glacian, I will need tons of energy cards, and actually I will need like 6, he's 170, so I will need 9 energies in play. Unfortunately, not gonna happen that easily, but there's still good chance. There's still good chance. So there's another Jolteon, and actually he decided to roll with a lightning energy attachment. Of course, he does not have another energy, which means that I can go with my Flare Witch, and basically tries to find one of my energies, attach them onto my Shaman in the active position. Right now you can see all beauty of that Delphox break deck. So basically you can trade your energies, you can attach your energies, you can do multiple stuff. I was even able to Sky Return right here, but I just actually decided not to do that, so I can even attach one of my energies, and then I can go with my Flare Witch right here, which can help me to attach one more energy on my another Shaman, in case my opponent actually decides to Lysander me. I'm ready. So this is gonna be a Psy Storm 4, a 180 damage, so that's enough for more 2 more prize knockouts. So there's another Fennekin and a V-Seeker. Since he decided to attach his energy on the Jolteon, that was the biggest mistake he actually does, because I was able to knock out that Glacian for extra energy card, which means that all I really need to do is play my V-Seeker for the last Lysander, and basically tries to find one more energy card, which is not going to be that hard, because I can just easily play 2 of my Flare Witches, which can actually add more damage counters. And right now I have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 energies in play, which means that this is a GG. So let's move to the game number 2 with this Delphox break test. So see you in the next game. Alright guys, we are back. So again, I'm going to start second, and basically if I start second, I can actually attack with my Volcanion on my turn 1. So I have pretty good option by going secondly. So on the other side, it's a Garchomp and a Carbink. So that means only one thing. If I play against Garchomp, my opponent will actually need a few turns to set up. Basically, those Focus Sash will prevent him from being knocked out. But the good thing is that my Volcanion in the active position will use those power heaters, basically try to do as many problems to my opponent as they could. So a very good thing is that I have Wall in my hand and a V-Seeker, which means that I can Wall into my Breakson, and basically after that I can just easily evolve my Delphox, and after that I can just easily V-Seeker for Delphox break, which will help me to put more energies in play. And there's a Muscle Band attached to the Gable, which means that he might just passes his turn to me. So there's another Fennekin as a top deck. Before I actually decide to roll with my Wally, I'm going to play my Trainer's Mail, and there's even V-Seeker sitting, Rare Candy actually sitting. So I can just play right here Wally, and try to see if I have Breakson in my deck, which means that I can just easily Wally into my from my Fennekin to my Braixen. Of course, I'm going to attach one of my energies, and I'm going to hit with just Power Hitter for 20. Unfortunately, just 20, but later this damage definitely will be much more when I manage to find my Delphox and put him into play. So Rare Candy, Garchomp, which means that he already have Garchomp who can start to attack with that bite off for like 120, maybe even more, depend. Oh, there's a big Lysander which will be a knockout over my Braixen, and that's not that beautiful, but at least I have that V-Seeker, I have that Rare Candy, which means only one thing. Then I'm going to Rare Candy into my Delphox, and after that I'm going to V-Seeker for my Delphox Break, which will definitely help me to put more energies in play and try to power up my Delphox on my bench so I can actually have more options to do. So there we go, there's a Wally. And there is a Flare Witch, which means that I can attach one of my energies to one of my Pokemon in play, and of course this energy will go to my Delphox. And I'm going just to use my Power Hitter again for 20. The good thing is that my opponent Garchomp can hit maximum 100 damage, and by hitting for 100 he's not going to be able to knock out my Volcanion right here. But basically, if he can somehow grab again that Lysander, maybe by playing two puzzles, but that's not going to happen, he could just start to apply more pressure to my Delphox on the bench. And there's a Focus Sash attached on the Carbon Break and another bite off for 100. So let's take a look at the top deck. One Delphox would be great, but unfortunately it's just a Hex Maniac, which means that I'm going to play my Flare Witch again. The good thing would definitely be if the Delphox from the X and Y base set is not rotated, because in that case I could just basically, oh, let's just go with the Hex Maniac in case my opponent maybe find that Octillery, so he's not going to be able to drop some extra cards. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that Delphox from the X and Y should definitely be the good card, because in that case you wouldn't need even Octilleries or the Shamans. You could just go straight away by a Rare Candy into Delphox from the X and Y, which have a ability Mystery Flame, I think, who can help you to draw cards until they have 6 in your hand. And there's another bite off for my opponent, which means that he can take 1 prize. So he's down to 4 prizes, but right now my Delphox Break is ready for that Flare Witch, which means that I can add 1 more energy on my Delphox. And so far I can hit for the 100. Of course I'm going to play my Sycamore for the fresh hand of the 7 new cards, which will lead me to another Fennekin and a double Super Road. So let's take a look at a Trainer's Mail. So I'm going to pick my Pearl City. And of course I want to put some of my knock it out Pokemons with the Super Road back into my deck. Of course I don't want to put my energies. Let's just go straight away with that Size Storm for a 100 damage knockout. So far so good, definitely. I'm going to take 1 prize here. The good thing is that I have Deliquent sitting in my hand, which means only one thing, that I can basically Deliquent my opponent hand and interrupt it. So there's a Professor's Letter, which means that he can take pretty much 2 fighting energy cards and put them into his hand. But again, that Flowstone on the Remoraid is also good. I can just hit for 20 with that Diamond Gift and basically attached more energies on his Carbink, because the Carbink is the only fighting Pokemon. No strong energies from my opponent means only one thing, that this is very, very bad position for him. Right here I can take a knockout with my Delphox Break, but unfortunately that Focus Sash will be the problem. So I'm going to play my Ultra Ball for Lysander and for a Deliquent. I guess I can grab Shaman for some extra resources, and I can definitely do that. But when I think a little bit better, I'm not sure if that is actually a good option. So that Shaman can give me some extra cards to draw. I mean, 2 cards, not too much, but definitely want to burn that Shaman, just because I have a Pearl City sitting in my hand. And there's a energy card for that Fennekin. I'm going to play my... I don't need to play my end right here. I can just go with my V-Seeker for Deliquent. and or maybe even for Wally. But I will go with my Delinquent because I have another option in my hand. Basically, I will just discard 3 cards from his hand, so in case he maybe top deck Ultra Ball, he's not going to be able to search his deck for anything. And then I can just go with my Flare Witch, of course, to attach one more energy to one of my benched Pokemons in play. Let's go to another Fennekin. And of course, I can go with my Flickering Flames because I'm not going to be able to knock him out, but in case he not wake up, he's not going to be able to put any damage counter on my Delphox, but unfortunately he wakes up, so I'm going to take probably 40 damage right here. And there's a top deck. There's a top deck Sycamore, which means that he can top deck 7 new cards with that Sycamore, which is pretty badass. And the good thing is that I do have my V-Seeker sitting and ready in my hand, which means that I can just V-Seeker for Lysander and basically knock out his Gable on a bench, which is definitely going to be very, very important thing. So there's a Battle Compressor, and finally we are in the game. That Battle Compressor is going to be a very big deal right here. So basically, Battle Compressor for some strong energies and a Hex Maniac. Of course, you want to have Hex Maniac so you can stop your opponent from using those Flare Witch abilities. But the biggest problem right now, oh, there's one more energy attachment on the Carbing, not sure why. Okay, so he can make more cards with that. A Basil Hand, pretty decent. And there's another Carbing, put it in play. And of course, Diamond Gift, which means only 20 damage for 2 strong energies to be attached, probably on that Gable on the bench, which means that I'm going to V-Seeker for Lysander, so I can just easily grab the prize knockout right here. But before I do that, I'm definitely going to play my Ultra Ball, and that Ultra Ball is going to be for a Super Road and N, in order to grab another Shaymin, so I can set up for more cards, just because I have that Pearl City sitting in my hand. Say hello, Mr. Gable. I don't want to knock you out, so there's a Flare Witch, which means that I'm going to attach one more energy to my Fennekin on a bench. I definitely need another Delphox in play as soon as possible. So there we go, there's another Shaymin for 5 cards, and I need one more Volcanion. Volcanion would be perfect top deck in this situation. So there we go, there's a Volcanion, there is even a Fighting Fury Belt sitting in my hand, which means only one thing. I'm going to play my Pearl City, remove my Shaymins from play, so my opponent will not going to be able to take 2 prize knockouts. I can even a Trainer's Mail and see what I can get with the Trainer's Mail. There's a Sycamore, which is pretty good. And of course, I'm going to hit for a big knockout with Psystorm, which will be 240 damage in total. So right now, my opponent does not have a chance to actually get that Garchomp in play. And there's another V-Seeker from my prize cards, which means only one thing. If there will be another Gable, I can just V-Seeker for Lysander, which will help me definitely to take another Gable and knock him out. So there's a Corina, which means only one thing, that he's probably going to search his deck for another Gable, and who knows what item card. If he have another Super Road, that's definitely going to be a good card, but as long as I can try to set up my another Delphox in play, this is going to be very good. So there's another Gable in a rare candy, which means that he already played a turn of supporter card, and I'm definitely going to play my V-Seeker to knock out his Gable on a bench. Oh, there's a big muscle band. Alright, so I have 180 HP, which is just ridiculous amount of the HP for one break. I mean, only Chestnut Break has more HP. He have 190 HP, and that's the biggest HP you can find. So there's another energy attachment. So this is a Carbon with the 5 energies in play. Of course, you don't mind too much about that, because all of these energies is going to be discarded once the Karmic is knocked out. So there's another Diamond Gift for only 20 damage. Of course, 2 more energies attached on that Gable. But look at my hand. So there's a V-Seeker for a Lysander, and my Delphox is just smiling at my opponent Gable at this case. And there we go. There's another Flare Witch, of course, and I'm going to put one of my energies onto my Volcanion on the bench, and basically I'm going to hit for tons of damage right here once again with my Psystorm, which is going to be like 280. I'm going to take one more prize, and basically I'm more than happy with that. So I don't have any more V-Seekers left, which means that if he can find another Gable, I'm not going to be able to knock him out. So as you can see, there is Wally in my hand. So there's another Corina. Alright. There's Wally in my hand, which only means one thing, that I'm going to Wally next turn for my breaks in, so I can actually have my Delphox in case he somehow managed to knock out my Delphox from the active position, and that's going to be very, very good. So there's a Gable and a V-Seeker. So knowing right now that I don't have V-Seeker, only thing that can help me maybe is going to be basically N. But I just want to set up my another attacker in play. And maybe I can even do a pretty smart option to retreat my Delphox from the active position to my Volcanion on the bench. But let's just go with the Wally for that breaks in, so we can actually evolve a Fennekin with 2 energies on the bench. There we go. There's a Trainer's Mail, so what can I get with my Trainer's Mail? I can get Escape Rope or Ultra Ball. And I think Escape Rope might be a good option to have. So what do I have in my discard pile? 2 Super Road played, which means that I cannot get my Super Roads in play, but I can activate my Flare Witch right here, attach one of my energies on my breaks in on the bench, and pretty much go straight away for the knockout right there for that Psystorm. But what if End happens? What should I do next? What if he can somehow ends me? That's definitely not going to be good. So he had that V-Seeker option sitting in his hand, but he does not have N. I guess I can take a risk right here because I have another attacker, backup attacker, which is actually Volcanion, and he can definitely helps a lot, basically in case of terms that he might somehow end me down to 2 cards and I'm not going to be able to drop the Delphox. I can always promote my Volcanion in the active position with 170 HP with that Fighting Fury belt, and of course hit for 20, 30, and attach a few more energies to my bench Pokemons in play. So there's V-Seeker, which means V-Seeker for Corina, and that's Corina. It's going to be probably for Garchomp and Focus Sash. Alright, so with that Focus Sash, I'm not going to be able to knock out his Garchomp, so I will need 2 turns to do that. So on the other side, he can hit for tons of damage, as you can see. He have 2 strong energies attached, which is 120 damage with a bite off. Oh no, there was no Focus Sash. I thought I saw that. So how many energies we have in place? So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 energies, which means that I can hit for 140, which is exactly enough damage counters that I need to one-hit knock out my opponent, Garchomp on the other side. I will just put another Volcanion on the bench and pretty much play that Scorched Earth just in case some crazy things happen. So I'm going to hit with my Psystorm, which will be exactly enough for the 140, and I can take basically 1 more prize. So I'm 1 prize short, and definitely those Lysanders helped me a lot to win this matchup, but also that Delphox with the Psystorm attack was just among us damage counters to my opponent. So there's Puzzle of Time, which means that he can grab even maybe 2 copies of puzzles at the same time and any 2 cards from his discard pile, so he can take maybe something like a Carbon Break, Energy, and Gable. But on the other side, I have too many resources. I have like 6 energies in play, 5 energies in play, which is 100 damage. Of course, I don't have another energy card in my hand, but I have Escape Rope, which can force my opponent basically to put either a Carbink or a Gable into the active position. So there's a V-Seeker for Corina. So what he can do right here with Corina, let's take a look. Basically, he can definitely take that Focus Sash, of course, if he play one. And basically, Focus Sash can help him maybe to promote that Carbink in the active position so he can survive somehow. But no, there's just another Rare Candy and a Garchomp. There's another Remoraid, but I think this is pretty much GG. There's a Carbink in the active position. Only Carbink Break can actually help him somehow to survive, but nope, there's no Carbink Break, which means there is 1 more energy card to my Delphox. I even have my Delphox Break, and this is pretty much a GG. So yeah, I even managed to win against a Garchomp deck, which is always kind of scary deck to play, especially if you play against that deck. Alright guys, so opening hand near perfect. So there's a Volcanion sitting in my hand, and I also have Fennekin, which is good. On the other side, I can actually play my Trainer's Mail, which can help me to find maybe Ultra Ball, so Ultra Ball for Shaman, in order to drop some more resources, and plenty other options right here. So On the other side, it's a Raticate Break deck, so this is definitely going to be very interesting matchup. Raticate Break can easily hit for tons of damage. Basically, the Raticate Break focus is to put its attack says that Raticate Break can put your opponent active Pokemon to a 10 HP, and after he do that, Arieto's Poisonous Nest ability will just do the job to knock out your Pokemon from play. So there is pretty good top deck, which is actually a Sycamore for that very good play of 2 extra energy cards to be attached to my Pokemons on my bench. So there's another Trainer's Mail. Can I hit maybe Ultra Ball? No, I can't. So I'm just looking forward to use my Power Heater and to power up 2 of my babies on a bench with 2 fire energies. So unfortunately, 2 Delphox breaks sitting in my hand, but even if I decide to discard them, it's not going to be a big deal because I'm running 2 copies of Super Road and I can easily put them back into my deck. So definitely going to be, definitely going to play my Sycamore for 7. Maybe even Delinquent if I can top deck supporter card, if I can top deck Stadium card. So there's a 10 damage from that Raticate. He decided to roll on the bench, and look at this. So there's a pretty nice top deck, which means that I can discard all cards from my opponent's hand, and I'm definitely looking forward to do that. So that Delinquent is definitely going to hurt my opponent by a lot, and that means that I can just easily... Oh, there was a Raticate break. Okay, so very nice. Let's just go with the Power Heater basically for 20 more damage, 1 more energy actually attached on my Fennekin. I'm going to take 10 damage counters from that poison between turns. That's not, it's not a big problem, so I'm in very good position right here. So he's definitely will need something, and there's a level ball for the Octillery, so this is a perfect top deck, which means that he can Abyssal Hand for 5. Basically, with Abyssal Hand for 5, you can get 5 more new cards, which can actually be even a supporter card in one of these 5 cards, so that can actually help you to drop even more resources. There's another Rattata. Since I'm already poisoned, 1 Raticate Break and a Grass Energy will do the job, and he's gonna be able to knock out my Volcanion from the active position, which is just a nightmare for me because I still don't have not even breaks in play. So there we go. There's a Raticate Break in play. And there's a Abyssal Hand, which means only one thing. If he can find an energy card, he can definitely knock out my Volcanion. So there's a Silent Lab, which means that my Shamies are not going to be... they're not going to be setting up, so there is a knockout. Oh, actually he can attack for the double Chorus Energy with a Super Fang. Totally forget about that. Didn't play Raticate Break in a while. So there we go with the Volcanion in the active position. And luckily I managed to top deck Scorched Earth, which means that I can just get rid of that Silent Lab, and that's very important play right here. So Sycamore for 7, there's a Volcanion, and pretty much just a Fighting Fury Belt, and nothing else sitting in my hand, so that's definitely not good. So I can just Power Heater this time for 20, actually 30 because of that Fighting Fury Belt, attach 1 of my energies onto my Volcanion and hope to get something with that V-Seeker. But the only option that I can have with my V-Seeker can actually be either way that Delinquent or maybe just Lysander, trying to buy some time by Lysandering his Octillery on a bench, which I think might be the best option I could do, because if he cannot find Floatstone, I can probably just try to buy a turn by Lysandering him. The best thing right here is that he does not have Arietos in play so far. Without Arietos, I'm definitely in good position because he cannot knock out from 1 hit with his Raticate basically my Volcanion, and I'm gonna take easy advantage right here. So that means if I can play my V-Seeker for Lysander on that Octillery, maybe I'm gonna be able to take some extra setups right here. So there's a Trainer's Mail and there's a Sycamore, which means that he can roll for 7 new cards if he wants. He just decided to retreat, of course, his Raticate Break, use that Dirty Shock, put poison on my Volcanion, discard, of course, Tool, and pass his turn. So there's another rare candy sitting in my hand. I guess I can Escape Rope to avoid that Poison Lock. And that's definitely going to be a big play right here, and I can even tries to delinquent his hand for a little bit in case I manage to top deck Shaman. But I think playing Lysander is a little bit better option. I cannot knock out his Raticate break, not even close, but I can force him to promote his artillery in the active position, and basically I can try to buy some time until I manage to top deck something, because I do have V-Seeker sitting in my hand, but if I decide to play with my V-Seeker for Sycamore and take 7 new cards, I'm not going to be able to play any more Lysander later in the game, which is very, very dangerous. So there we go. There's a Abyssal hand number 1. He still have that Sycamore sitting in his hands, so he definitely needs 2 cards. First, he needs somehow to get that Ariados in play, because without Ariados in play, he's not going to be able to one-hit knock out my Pokemons, which is very important right here. And there we go. We can see that Ariados and Spinarch discarded, but they can easily be put back with the Super Road or Puzzle of Time. So there's a Trainer's Mail and there's a Puzzle of Time. Will there be maybe a chance to get Flowstone so he can retreat his artillery? Who knows? So 2 copies of Puzzle of Time maybe be played in this case. For maybe another Raticate break, maybe even for Ariados line. So he decided to take that Spinarch and Raticate break, so he can have 3 Raticate breaks in total in play. And he's definitely in very big advantage right here, but all I really need is somehow to take control by knocking out his... I definitely need to take control by knocking out his basically Spinarchs from play. So we'll just hit another power hitter, which will be 40 damage. So we need to be very smart right here. The main focus right here is gonna be to sit and wait for that Spinarch. So I can basically sit and wait to get resources that I need, and basically I only need to knock out his artillery, and probably after that he is going to put his Ariados on the bench, and the next move that I need to do is just V-Seeker his Spinarch, so I can just take the knockout over his Spinarch so he cannot find that Ariados, which will definitely be a very important thing. So there's another 20 damage, which means that he's down to 80. He also have 11 cards. Right now he have 10 cards left. Tons of cards actually are on his bench. So he have like 13 Pokemons, 15 Pokemons in total in play. And there we go, there's a Super Road for that Ariados, and it's my turn, so let's take a look. What is the top deck? And top deck is the freaking Sycamore, so I'm just going to play my power hitter right here for the knockout, which will hopefully give me something that I really need, and which is actually N. So N is not a bad option right here, and probably right now I can expect to see Spinarch in play. There we go, so there's a Spinarch in play, and knowing that my opponent actually have only 1 more V-Seeker left, but he still didn't play that Sycamore, he might somehow manage to surprise me. But all I really need to do in order to win this game basically is to knock out his Spinarch on the bench. Okay, so there's a Shaman EX, but I guess I cannot one-hit knock out his Spinarch because I'm short for that Fighting Fury belt. So the only option reasonable is to play that N and basically also disrupt my opponent's hand by a little bit right here. And there we go, there's a Super Road. So with the Super Road I can bring back my Fannycans, my Delphox breaks back into my deck, and that's a very important thing. Also 1 energy to be attached on my Delphox. Going to play my Fannycan on a bench and pretty much use my power hitter so I can put 20 more damage counters on his Raticate break. So I still need to take 5 more prize cards, and that's definitely not going to be easy task, but at least, oh, there we go, there's a Ariados. So I'm definitely looking forward to game in the active position with my Delphox and go straight away for the knockout next turn with my V-Seeker for that Ariados. And in that case I can buy like 2 turns and I can actually take 2 prizes against those Raticate breaks. So there we go, there's a knockout from that, I think it's a Super Fang. and I'm going to put my Delphox into the active position. The top deck is a Shaman, but unfortunately for me I cannot play Shaman, but I can play my V-Seeker for Lysander, and I can just easily go straight away for the knockout. So going to knock out his Ariados, which means that I'm going to take one prize. Next turn he can definitely poison my Delphox, which means that I can retreat all night long, basically on my bench, but I'm still short for like one energy card. So Ultra Ball will do the job. You're going to see how, because he's going to poison my Delphox right here. I'm going to, definitely I'm going to just play my Ultra Ball for the Delphox break, and in that case I can just evolve into my Delphox break, which means only one thing, that I can actually remove special condition. I think I'm going to remove special condition with the Delphox break, because Delphox is going to count as a evolution. So there we go, there's a Dirty Shock. So poison is put on my Delphox, and Ultra Ball. Oh, look at my top deck. Actually, Delphox break has a top deck like a boss, which means that I can use my Flare Witch, and without Spinarch and Ariados in play, I can just attach one more extra energy to my Volcanion, and all I really need is just go straight away with my Psystorm for the knockout. So another prize will be taken, and I'm down to 3 prizes, which means that I need to take 3 more prize cards in order to win this game. And there we go, there's another rare candy for Delphox sitting in my hand, which is very important. Next turn I can just knock out my opponent Raticate with my Volcanion, and I think this is very, very bad position for my opponent, because without Spinarch and Ariados, he's not going to be able to do seriously damage right here. So there's a 170, and he's short for that, basically poison, which he can definitely do next turn. But I'm going to play my Flare Witch, attach one of my energies onto my Delphox on a bench, and of course I'm going to retreat, or not retreat, or not to retreat. Well, that's definitely a good question. That's definitely a good question. Let's first go with the Wally for another Delphox break right here, and I guess I can just retreat and hit with my Delphox break for like a 40 with my Flare Witch. Oh, I don't have any more resources left in my deck. Oh, this is very bad. So knowing that, I'm going to hit for the Psystorm with my active Delphox, and I'm very bad position right now because I don't have energy. I definitely need more energy cards, but I'm down to 2 prizes. And there we go, there's a energy card, which means that I'm gonna be short for like a 10 damage. Oh, I should probably just retreat for oh my goodness. So there's a Dirty Shock, which is enough for the knockout, and that means that I need to promote my Volcanion in the active position, and I do the misplay right here, that is for sure. So there we go, 3 prize down to 2 prizes. My Volcanion in the active position. There's a Wally, but I cannot play my Wally. I guess I can just go with my energy attachment and power heater. Power heater to power up my Delphox on the bench. Again, he's going to put the poison onto my Delphox, but onto my Volcanion. But the end looks like this is going to be it, because next turn I can just knock him out with my Steam Artillery for 100, and basically I will have enough energies. Well, I will be short for 1 energy actually, so if I cannot find energy card, this might be GG. So I guess I'm going to retreat right here, because I really need to retreat to preserve that energy. Because that energy actually will be the card that will bring me the victory. And I will get from the prize another energy. So if I stay with my Volcanion in the active position and decide to knock out my opponent, Raticate, he would just go with his Raticate break in the active position and hit me for the poison and knockout, and in that case I'm not going to be able basically to knock out his Raticate, because I would be short for like 10 damage counters, because there's only 5 energy cards in play, and there's a Super Fang, which means that this game is pretty much a GG. Alright, so one more energy to attach. Flare Reach for knockout. Oh, not a Flare Reach. Flare Reach is a ability, but just Psy Storm, and this is a GG, so yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, for today Delphox break testing. Once again, guys, there's a full deck list. If you're looking to build this Delphox break, it's a pretty decent deck. We have tons of options, so I hope you enjoy watching this video. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more future videos. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave comments below. Till the next time, have a nice day, and goodbye.